One of our next speakers is Dr. Olaf Lidums. Dr. Lidums is an assistant professor at the Ecumenical Theological Seminary in Detroit, Michigan. He teaches courses in Ecological Ministries, social justice, and urban ministry, and supervises Masters of Arts students as well as Masters of Divinity interns. His research areas include environmental justice, eco-psychology, and systems. He's the faculty point person and consultant when it comes to the environmental dealings with the community and the early development stages of a green administrative and classroom building. The other person that will be speaking with him is Dr. Linda Schweitzer. Dr. Schweitzer is an associate professor of environmental science at Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. She teaches courses in environmental chemistry and resource management. Her research fields include water quality and treatment and ecological restoration. They will be speaking with us this evening about the ethical dimensions of the problems we are talking about tonight, peak oil and climate change. So please help me welcome Dr. Lidums and Dr. Schweitzer.
Hi, I'm Olaf. I'm a theologian.
I'm Linda. I'm a scientist.
I know as a theologian that religion without science is superstition.
And science without religion is materialism.
We teach together, we speak together, because we believe that two of the important cultural, ethical institutions and underpinnings that has made our society successful in some ways, but also challenged in other ways, as talked about tonight, is religion and science in partnership, seeking the truth. Can we handle the truth? It's difficult if we take our congressman scientists seriously. I'd like to just share a few words from a venerable spiritual teacher and worldwide visionary. One of the principal problems with a radical scientific materialism is the narrowness of vision that results in the potential for nihilism that might ensue. Nihilism, materialism, and reductionism are above all problems from a philosophical and especially a human perspective, since they can potentially impoverish the way we see ourselves. And yet the other side, by the same token, spirituality must be tempered by the insights and discoveries of science. If, as spiritual practitioners, we ignore the discoveries of science, our practice is also impoverished, as this mindset can lead to fundamentalism. This is one of the reasons I encourage my spiritual colleagues to undertake the study of science so that its insights can be integrated into, and in this case, the Buddhist worldview. This is the Dalai Lama in a wonderful little paperback, The Universe in a Single Atom. Shall we move on? One of the expressions that we really like is earth-human community. Notice the images. Notice the different faith system images. One of the things, for example, that people may not know about Islam is that the Prophet Muhammad was very concerned about environment, and that the Prophet throughout the Quran talks about the unity of all things and the need to partner with the one God to care for creation. But A good summary of where we are challenged today is by J. McDaniel in his wonderful book, Gandhi's Hope. The 5 challenges faced today by world religions is
To live compassionately.
to live self-critically,
To live simply.
to live ecologically.
To welcome religious diversity.
The Earth Charter is quite a document, and there are all kinds of statements from it. But one of our partners, active in the Pioneers, likes to use these 3, and I like them. Reverence for the mystery of being,
Gratitude for the gift of life.
and humility for our human place in nature and the whole. When we talk about ethics, it's helpful to sometimes go to a dictionary and to see what a dictionary says. In this case, the World College Dictionary, I think the 2nd edition. When we talk about ethics, we're talking about moral judgment and conduct, also moral philosophy. There's other definitions, but these are the edges of it, the core of it rather, the system or code of morals of a person, religion, group, etc. Ethics is really about relationships, how we do life together. Aaron made a brilliant comparison between different microcultures and how they are doing life together. And in our basic ways of doing life together, how is it going?
These are some notes I put in. The me generation. I'm a late-end baby boomer, and what started as inner reflection, individualist ideals of looking into oneself, perhaps to improve oneself, it kind of got distorted into more of a selfish, ultra-individualism.
And so American values of individuality and self-sufficiency have been distorted to mean ultra-individualism and has resulted in excessive selfishness. And one of the key ethical issues is that we have lost a sense of the commons. How many of you, this is off the cuff, are familiar with the DVD, The Corporation? I know we're kind of preaching to the choir. In a sense, this is not so new to you, but it's sort of like a review, a summary. One of the things, compelling images, is that man, a white man with glasses, who says something like this: wouldn't it be wonderful if every meter was privately owned? Every meter privately owned. It would be so wonderful. Square meter, right?
No, meter of land. Or
meter
earth,
of land, meter of earth. Right, right. And of course, what that speaks of is, again, complete skewed vision in terms of a loss of the commons, the public space.
And the image I like to use is a snake consuming its own tail, which obviously is not nutritious. Okay, now we have 2 models of ethics we'd like to compare. One is the consumer ethic, and this is a takeoff from Descartes. Descartes, I think, therefore I am. I shop, therefore I am.
Oh, that makes sense, because in shopping, don't we typically need Descartes?
And the other model is earth ethic.
When we speak about any kind of ethic, consumer ethic, work ethic, earth ethic, it's easy to sort of externalize and think that ethics is basically ego extrinsic. But what we're talking about is ethics is weaved into the very fabric of our being. It's ego intrinsic. And when we speak of like an earth ethic, we are saying, I embrace the earth as part of me, and I am part of it. Literature from indigenous people, religious literature, poetry, all emphasize how we are part of the earth and the earth is part of us. A social theologian, a critic, Cynthia Mo Laboda, in her book, Healing a Broken World, talks about how the consumer ethic is not simply a problem of buy, shop, shop, shop. By the way, you remember what was emphasized after 9/11 on that?
Yeah, after 9/11, Bush was trying to convey to the public, our president was trying to convey a return to normalcy. Like in Israel, when there's a terrorist attack, they say, we're not going to let this destroy us. We're going to carry on. We're going to carry forward. And that was the message he was trying to tell people. But what did he tell people to do? I remember two things. He said, go out and shop, and he said, go to Disneyland. And I kind of took it back. Is that our identification of normalcy, shopping? Is that our identity as the American culture, the identity is shopping?
And Cynthia Mo Laboda says, indeed so. That when we speak of a consumer ethic, we are saying, I identify my humanity in terms of being a consumer. Homo consumerist. Homo economicus, to use fancy Latin terminology. I am basically a shark eating machine. My humanity consists in, and my value consists in, consumption. When we talk about ethical, the root meanings when we look at that word refers to character, custom, and essential quality. The essential quality that's weaved into the fabric of how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to each other, and how we relate to our environment. And the characteristic and distinguishing attitudes, habits, beliefs, again, of an individual or a group. When we go to the basics of ethical thinking, we do go back to Socrates. And he was beginning to reflect and ask, what makes for the good life? How do we understand the good life? And what kind of human being can accomplish or live such? And three basic elements came out of that reflection and conversation with people. The basics of ethical thinking gets to the issue of what is good and what is bad for humans. What is right and what is wrong. What is of value, deep value, and what is not. And you might say, well, different cultures, different societies have different views of this. Of course. The people in Tripoli think that sustainability and eliminating pigs for the sake of the continuity of the community and the environment in which they live is a good. We allow pig do to ruin the environment of states like North Carolina and Michigan and other states. What is good? What is bad for humans and how we do life together? What is right? What is wrong? What's of value and not? The basic question in ethics is always, what does it mean to be human?